Welcome to Beyond the Beat, your go-to source for insider knowledge on fantasy football. Hosted by Zach Hiduk and Matt Olson. We bring you straight to the action with exclusive interviews from NFL beat writers, draft experts, and film gurus. Get the news from the field, straight from the sources at training camp and beyond. This is where fantasy wins are made.
Welcome in, everybody, to Beyond the Beat with 32 beat writers. My name is Zach Hiduk, and today I am writing solo. We're going to be rolling into week 14 of the NFL season and the final week before your fantasy football playoffs. So it is a big week. Hope you all had a very good Thanksgiving. I know that I did. This weekend, I know we're well past Thanksgiving for most of you, of course, at this point, but it was a really good and relaxing time for me. If you're watching on YouTube, you probably can't tell based on the bags under my eyes, but, I'm just so committed to making sure that we get a show to you. I'm recording super late on Friday so that we have all the most up-to-date news and information dropping to you if you're listening on Saturday morning. One thing I did want to talk about really quickly, just because I have to tell somebody, and it was a major disappointment for me. I worked really hard on getting like a smoked turkey, and if you're in our Discord, you would have seen a picture of it. I was super proud of it. I did a super good job, I felt like, and everybody really enjoyed it. It was great. But we had some leftovers, right? That's one of the things about Thanksgiving. You get some leftovers, which is great. And later that evening, when my wife wanted something to eat, she asked if she could have some of the turkey, and so if I could get it for her. So I got some out and set the bag on the counter and cut some extra up and threw it on a plate, took it over to her and gave it to her. Came back a couple hours later and the turkey is still out on the table because I forgot to put it back in the fridge, and so that was unfortunate. I threw about half of a bird away into the dumpster, and that was really unfortunate for me, working so hard on something and then getting to have a little bit of it and no leftovers. So anyways, I hope your Thanksgiving went well overall. Other than that, mine did as well. And you know what, as we mentioned at the top of the show here, super important week, especially if you're trying to make it in. So we've got a lot to get through. And let's just dive right in. We're going to hit the Atlanta quarterback controversy, news and injury related items, as well as our love-hate, which you can officially see on our website here. If you want to go directly there right now, maybe if you're looking at it, tools.32beatwriters.com. You can find our love-hate, our rankings, our Vegas lines, all sorts of stuff over there. So make sure to check that out. All right, let's talk about the Falcons. A lot has been said recently about the quarterback situation in Atlanta. As you know, Atlanta signed a 4-year, $180 million deal with Kirk Cousins, who was a free agent from the Vikings. Cousins has not played well over the last 3 games, to say the least. And with the number 8 overall pick behind him, Michael Penix Jr., that was naturally going to bring out some questions as to whether or not he may unseat Kirk Cousins. I brought in our resident Falcons expert, Daniel Flick of Sports Illustrated, to give us a little bit of his information and opinions and insight on this situation.
As far as Atlanta's quarterback situation, this is something that I think has been made a little bit more of a national deal than what Atlanta would have hoped for. Everything that Raheem Morris has said throughout the whole week, everything that honestly everyone inside of the organization has said, is that the plan for the Falcons has not changed. It is Kirk Cousins' show. Penix is a long-term play. He is the future. Cousins is the present. Atlanta brought in Cousins with the intention of snapping a 6-year playoff drought. And Atlanta drafted Penix to help make the Falcons a long-term sustainable contender. That being said, it means that Cousins is the present and Penix is the future. That is what has been clear from the start. That's what the Falcons have said throughout the week. They are sticking with that plan. The only chance I think that you see Penix play soon is if playoffs become out of the realm of possibility Cousins gets hurt. Either of those two are where it becomes a real possibility. But as of now, I think it'd be very, very, very surprising if the Falcons flat out benched Cousins in favor of Penix solely for playoff opportunity because, as I mentioned, Atlanta believes in Cousins. Atlanta believes that he has more in his arm, has more in his overall skill set than what's been shown over his last 3 games. I'm sure he would admit that the last 3 weeks have been probably the worst, if not one of the worst stretches he's had as a pro. But the Falcons still believe in him. He still believes in himself. And the Falcons are also confident in what Penix will be in the future, but they want to save that for the future. They want to win now. They think Cousins is the best chance they have to win now. And they ultimately believe that this whole situation has kind of been a little bit blown out of proportion.
Well, thanks again to Daniel Flick of SI Sports Illustrated for calling in and giving us that information. You can find him over on Twitter at by Daniel Flick. That's BY Daniel Flick. Or, of course, his author profile at si.com. He did add to this on Twitter. We had a quote from Raheem Morris talking about that situation, and this is the quote here. We picked Penix with a real purpose, our future quarterback. When that happens, it happens. Right now, he's in full support of Kirk and knows he's going to bounce back. So looks like with what Daniel said and the quote there from Raheem Morris, I'd expect Kirk Cousins going forward unless something drastic happens. And I mean, it makes sense. If you just look at the numbers on the situation, Kirk has a $65 million dead cap next year. And I don't see why he would bother restructuring in that and doing a favor for the Falcons if he was, benched in some sort of situation. They don't have any actual savings on Cousins' deal until 2026 if they were to cut him. So, no matter what, unless he's traded, he's on this roster in 2025. And, is that a situation where he's the backup and Penix is the starter? I don't really see how that personally is a possibility unless something pretty extreme happens. Perhaps it does. Things happen all the time. But Kirk Cousins would have to play pretty poorly, I think, for him to be benched this year, as Daniel mentioned, although we'll have to monitor. If you bail on him now, you're just in a tough spot. And you know what? I did think about this, and I just wanted to bring it up really quick. If you were up in arms about them drafting Michael Penix at the draft and spending that high pick on him, then you can't reverse course here and be all upset now and want them to put Penix in unless you're willing to admit one of those two decisions or one of those two opinions that you yourself held were wrong. So I'm not saying you can't change, but you can't be right on both of those. So just a little thought there. A reminder to go check out our friend Daniel at by Daniel Flick and si.com. All right, let's take a very quick break here for a word from one of our sponsors.
Oh, incredible news about Fast Draft. Fast Draft DFS is live. It's called the Flex 6 Frenzy. You just draft 6 guys, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for the Sunday slate. You like Jahmyr Gibbs? You like Jackson Smith and Jigba? You like Tyrone Tracy? Draft him, draft him, draft him. And the beauty is you can just order 5 teams, submit your rankings, and Fast Draft will email you the results. We awarded $1,000 in prizes our first week, and we're just going up from there. Soon there's going to be a select 6. No drafting at all. You just pick any 6 guys. Our DFS mantra, just say no to salaries on Fast Draft. Don't forget there's free tools on Fast Draft too. You want to get ready for startup season? We've created the best Dynasty mock draft experience there is. And if you want to play in these DFS contests, and our best ball contest for 2025 coming very soon too, just use promo code PODFATHER when you deposit and you get a free draft. It's that easy. And you're like, oh, I already have Fast Draft. Great. Refer a friend. Have them put your username in as the promo code, and then you and your friend will both get an instant deposit match up to $25. We got DFS. We got Dynasty Mocks. We got Best Ball. It's all there for you on fastdraft.app. Check it out. And the promo code is PODFATHER.
All right. Thanks again to our sponsor, Player Profiler. Right, let's dive into the official 32 Beat Writers Love Hate for Week 14. Just as a reminder, if you didn't know, check this out and more at tools.32beatwriters.com. We just released the 2025 Dynasty Draft Tracker. It is free, and we've gotten some great feedback on it so far. So check that out, as well as our Vegas-powered rankings, implied totals page, and eventually the 32 Beat Writers exclusive 2025 NFL Draft Big Board. Right now, the tools that are there are free, so make sure to take advantage of them while that is the case. As we go through these, keep in mind, these are for half-point PPR scoring, but if you want to see the standard or PPR scoring, you can see that over on our page that I mentioned earlier and select those options there. So just go to our rankings or our love-hate, and you can adjust that. For the love section here, we love Geno Smith this week. This is a guy that actually I needed a quarterback. I had 3 rookie quarterbacks in one of my leagues that were all on bye this week in Knicks and May and Jaden Daniels. And so I had to go find somebody, and I went with Geno Smith. The fantasy community is yet again writing him off, but Vegas thinks he is a solid quarterback 1 this week. We have him ranked at QB7. Expert consensus ranking amongst the fantasy community has him ranked right now at number 16. So we're very different there. I understand that the last time they went out and faced Arizona, it was not a great score total. I think maybe, 16 points entirety for the game. But yeah, that's where we're at. So go check if he's on your waiver wire and might be able to start him. For running back, we really like Tony Pollard this week as well. We have him ranked at number 9, according to our Vegas-powered rankings, as opposed to an ECR of 14 against Jacksonville. It's a tough love-hate week for running backs just in general. But Pollard is slated for a pretty solid workload. And if he indeed does score as a top 12 running back, that could be a pretty big deal for you, as you're not normally expecting that. With wide receiver, yes, coming off of a big week, maybe this is, I don't know, judge us for this take if you want. But Jerry Jeudy is our bet here. He is playing the Steelers. I understand that defense is not a cakewalk, but, we have him 6 spots ahead of expert consensus rankings at rank number 18. And for tight end, we've got Cade Otton at number 7 over an ECR of 10. Tight end is always a little bit icky. Who do you truly love at tight end? I don't know, but we have to put somebody in that category. So that's where we're at with Cade Otton. For the hate, we do not like where we're at with Justin Herbert going up against that Kansas City defense, who admittedly have not been as great, and even admittedly have not been as great against the passing game. However, with a banged up Lad McConkey, regardless of if he plays or not, we still have Justin Herbert well behind quarterback 1 status at quarterback 16. We do not have any running back hates for this week, so go ahead and skip over that if you will. Marvin Harrison Jr., however, does bring up the wide receiver hate list. He does not lead it, so if you want to go find out who else is there, you can go look at that page. But we don't like Marvin Harrison Jr. this week, and honestly, Vegas doesn't typically like him as much as the community does. Anyways, we have him 6 spots behind ECR versus Seattle, down at wide receiver 27. TJ Hawkinson for the tight end spot is at tight end 17 for us, down from tight end 11 based on ECR. Vegas thinks he's kept in check here against the Falcons. Again, if you want to see our full list of love-hate, our rankings, the other tools that I mentioned earlier, especially the Dynasty Draft Tracker, which we've gotten some really, really good feedback on after launching that today. You can find that in our pinned feed over on Twitter, 32B Writers, or tools.32bwriters.com for more as well. Again, all free, and you can check that out. With this being the final week before your fantasy playoffs, let's take a quick hit on some injury updates. Don't have much at the quarterback position. Quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield will be playing on Sunday and practice Friday, so he should be good to go with that Achilles and knee injury. For wide receivers, we got a bunch, so let's fly through them. Mike Evans, also of the Bucs, should play. He was dealing with a hamstring and calf issue, but is off the injury report. Jamar Chase logged a full practice and should play. CeeDee Lamb was limited and will play, but he does scare me a lot as he could easily re-injure that shoulder. Against the Bengals, I get it. It's hard not to play him against that trash of a defense, the trash bag of a defense, rather. Devonta Smith should be back for the Eagles this week after sitting out with a hamstring injury for a couple of games. This is a big deal against the Panthers with Dallas Goedert being injured and out. We'll get to him. Amari Cooper will play against the Rams, and that with that wrist injury, the implied totals, again, you can find that on our website there, make me feel pretty good starting him, but our projections do have him ranked at wide receiver 35. So take that into consideration as you make those decisions. George Pickens with the Steelers is officially questionable with a late hamstring. That, always makes you feel uncomfortable. That, of course, makes me nervous against the Browns, and you'll need to pay attention on game day about any reports regarding him. You should be able to follow that in our feed and get those updates. Keon Coleman is listed as questionable, but is expected to play for the Bills. Malik Neighbors is also a question mark, and I truly don't know if he will play again. Follow us to make sure that you stay in the loop. Keenan Allen with the Bears is good to go, and with DJ Moore questionable, look on game day for updates to see if DJ Moore is out, and if so, I'd feel pretty good about starting Keenan Allen against San Francisco. Our friend Courtney Cronin did say that DJ Moore is optimistic and that he'll play versus San Francisco despite being listed as questionable. He injured his quad running a wheel route early versus Detroit and managed to play through that. So to quote Moore, I play through everything. Ladd McConkey, as we mentioned, was limited on Friday and is listed as questionable. I do expect him to play based on what we've been reading, but Monitor reporting on Sunday. With him being the late game on Sunday, that is a tough call that you may have to make at 1 p.m. So we have him currently ranked at wide receiver 23, two spots below expert consensus as of Thursday, for what it's worth. Tyreek Hill should play after not practicing on Wednesday. All right, let's go ahead and get through the running backs here. Bucky Irving was back at practice and looks more of like a game time decision. Big deal there. Kendre Miller for the Saints is coming off of his IR, not vacation, punishment, imprisonment that former head coach Dennis Allen put him in. Our friend beat writer Ross Jackson is reporting that he is trending towards playing and that he has been told, quote, all gas, no brakes for Kendre Miller, but that he does expect Alvin Kamara to get the vast majority of snaps. So maybe hold on him and see what you get. Obviously, in the playoffs here, you're not probably going to be playing him unless you see something pretty magical this week. But hey, for Dynasty, there you go. DeAndre Swift, according to Coach Thomas Brown of the Bears, sounds optimistic and about DeAndre Swift playing. So we have him ranked number 16 for the week at the moment. That feels reasonable to me. Breece Hall of the Jets will not play, most likely. That means Braylon Allen, the rookie, will get the start, and I would put him somewhere in the high RB2 category. We're going to be adjusting our rankings based on that information soon, but that's about where I'd have him. I picked him up, and I put him in my starting lineup over Kareem Hunt, for what it's worth. Alexander Madison is officially questionable. This muddies the waters, and I'm just going to stay out of the Raider backfield conversation, even with Samir White looking like he is out. The Raiders have the second highest spread outside of a tie with the Browns. So I think it's 6.5 points. So I doubt they're going to be running the ball a ton. Maybe he catches some passes. It's not as if he hasn't done that in the past, but I just simply don't trust that situation. So if I'm starting him or Sincere McCormick, I think I'm toast already. Find somebody else, anybody else. Just do it. Don't deal with that. That's icky. Don't touch the ick. Kenneth Walker, big red flag today. Mike McDonald said that he truly does not know if Kenneth Walker can play Sunday for the Seahawks and has two separate injuries, whatever that means. So don't rely on him. For tight end, let's do a speed round. Dalton Kincaid should go. Dallas Goedert is out. Big implications there. Jake Ferguson is good to go, and Juwan Johnson is also good to go. All right, everybody, that will wrap it up. Thanks for joining me for this Saturday recording here. Recorded on Friday, rather. Make sure to check out our Twitter at 32BeatWriters and our website at 32beatwriters.com. Particularly, check out our new tools, tools.32beatwriters.com. Check out the rankings, the love-hate, the implied totals, and the 2025 Dynasty Draft tracker, as well as our most recent articles. We just posted 2 over there. If you are a member to our website, we've got a college forecast, 6 players with fantasy football futures, as well as, of course, the Week 13 recap, which you can look forward to for Week 14. And that'll do it, I think. For all the 32 Beat Writer staff, I am Zach Hiduk, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into Beyond the Beat with Zach Hiduk and Matt Olson. For more expert analysis and exclusive insights from the best in the game, don't forget to subscribe and stay ahead of the competition. Until next time, keep turning that insider knowledge into fantasy football wins.